This girl will embark on an adventure by pretending to be a guy so she can play soccer and beat her ex-boyfriend in a game. The movie begins with a group of friends having fun playing soccer on the beach. Here, we meet our protagonist Viola, a young girl who loves soccer. After the game ends, her boyfriend Justin comes over to tell her how good she is at soccer. The next day, as Viola and her friends head to the field for soccer practice, they find out that the school has canceled the girls' soccer team due to a lack of members. Viola and her friends look for a solution by talking to the coach and suggesting they join the boys' team. The coach refuses, saying they have a big game against Olivia High School in 2 weeks that they need to win. Feeling confident in their skills, they tell him they can help win the game. At that moment, their boyfriend arrives to ask what's going on. The coach points out the obvious biological differences between girls and boys, and although the girls are good, they will never be as good as the boys. Since Justin is the team captain, Viola asks for his opinion. Agreeing with the coach's decision leads to a brief argument between them that angers Viola so much she decides to end their relationship. Later, as Viola was heading home, her brother's girlfriend, Monique, mistook her for him due to their striking resemblance. As soon as she gets home, her mother excitedly shows her a bunch of dresses for the debutante ball. Viola points out that she has no interest in being a debutante and might not even attend the event. She then goes to her brother Sebastian's room, where he tells her that his band has a concert in London, so he'll be in England for 2 weeks. Sebastian asks her to help keep his absence a secret from their parents. Hearing this, Viola comes up with a brilliant idea. Since he's just been expelled from Cornwall and is now in Illyria, where no one knows him, she could go there, impersonate him, and join the boys' soccer team. Later, Viola and her friends go to see a stylist named Paul, who's going to help her look like her brother. Since appearance isn't the only difference between boys and girls, she also begins practicing typical guy gestures and behaviors. After this, Viola takes advantage of her parents' divorce to deceive her mother, telling her she'll be staying with her father for 2 weeks. The next morning, after arriving at Illyria in her disguise, Viola starts to panic, afraid she might be recognized. Paul steps in to calm her down and give her the confidence she needs to go through with her plan. Unfortunately, the journey to her room turns out to be a challenge full of obstacles. She finally arrives and meets Duke, her roommate, as well as his friends. Seconds later, as they mention being part of the soccer team, a box of tampons falls out of her backpack. Asked about the tampons, she says she uses them for her nosebleeds. This response makes them laugh at her. Later, at soccer practice, the coach sets up a game. One team will wear shirts, and the other won't. Viola convinces the coach to let her be part of the team with shirts by claiming she's mortally allergic to the sun. After evaluating each player's skills and physical condition during various trials, the coach names the starters and substitutes. Unfortunately, Viola ends up being a substitute. Later, she panics when it's time for the shower. Luckily, her coach informs her she won't be able to shower because she has to go to the principal's office. There, the principal simply introduces himself and gives her a warm welcome. As she leaves the office, she bumps into Olivia, the most beautiful girl in school. Later at lunch, pretending to be Sebastian, she mentions that the game against Cornwall will be interesting since her sister Viola goes there. Just then, Olivia appears, and Duke admits he likes her. Malcolm, the dorm director, is also interested in her, but Duke doesn't see him as a threat. Viola starts talking and drives the guys away when she begins saying cheesy things. She decides to shower at night when no one is around, but Duke and Malcolm show up and interrupt her, so she doesn't manage to bathe. Later, while having a nightmare where she makes a fool of herself in a soccer game, she's awakened by the soccer team starters. They gather all the newcomers for a hazing ritual and ask them to take off their clothes. Viola manages to avoid being discovered after sneaking out and setting off the fire alarm. The next day, she calls Paul and tells him she can't take it anymore. Everyone thinks she's a loser and smells bad because she hasn't showered in days. After giving it some thought, Paul comes up with a plan to increase her popularity. Viola walks into a restaurant where Duke and his friends are. They try to avoid her, and suddenly, Paul's plan starts. Her friends show up one by one pretending to be her ex-girlfriends. This confuses the guys, who can't believe what they're seeing and hearing.
I know, Sebastian. In the end, I wasn't woman enough for you.
No, you weren't. Needed.
After this, Monique shows up asking about Sebastian. Viola tries to avoid her to keep from being discovered and manages to get rid of her by breaking up with her. All of this makes her the most popular guy in school. Now, all the guys ask her for advice on flirting. In the lab class, Viola is randomly paired with Olivia for a group project, while Duke, unfortunately, ends up with Eunice, a girl who isn't exactly attractive. Malcolm tries to embarrass her in front of Olivia by giving her the lyrics to Sebastian's romantic songs, but it backfires because Olivia turns out to be a romantic. After classes, Duke makes her an offer. He'll help her get a starting position on the soccer team if she arranges a date for him with Olivia. A series of brief scenes show the passage of time as Olivia improves her soccer skills while managing to avoid being discovered.
Oh, for the love of God! It burned!
In the lab class, Viola tells Olivia that she and Duke could make a good couple. However, Olivia isn't interested in Duke but is secretly attracted to Viola, believing that Viola is a romantic guy. By the end of the conversation, Viola convinces Olivia to consider dating Duke. When she arrives in her room, she shares the good news with Duke. He starts to get nervous since he's never been good with women, so Viola helps him gain confidence by acting as a woman, something she obviously excels at. Suddenly, a spider appears, scaring both of them to the point where they help each other and almost kiss. She then finds out from a voicemail from her mother that she and her brother need to attend the carnival the next day. At the carnival, Viola struggles to act like both herself and her brother to keep up the lie. At one point, Duke almost recognizes her, and later she runs into her ex-boyfriend Justin, with whom she is still upset. Being both a woman and a man at the same time causes many problems. She constantly has to change clothes in different places. Later, Olivia is at the kissing booth, with Duke eagerly waiting his turn to kiss her. Unfortunately for him, when it's his turn, Viola takes Olivia's place. They end up kissing, which she enjoys until Justin shows up. Duke finds out that she is Sebastian's sister, and a fight breaks out between Duke and Justin. When she returns to her dorm room that night, she finds Duke using one of her tampons. He explains what happened and apologizes for kissing her sister. Since she's in love with him, she tells him she doesn't mind that he kissed her and actually encourages him to ask her out. Days later, her training to join the team as a starter continues. At the same time, she can't help but look at Duke with loving eyes. He mentions that he's thinking of asking Viola out, which makes her very happy. Her joy increases when the coach shows up to tell her she's been promoted to starter. On the other hand, Olivia is head over heels for Viola, but feels frustrated because her feelings aren't reciprocated. Her friend suggests making Viola jealous, so Olivia approaches them to flirt with Duke and try to make Viola jealous. She succeeds, but not because Viola is interested in her, but rather in Duke. The guy is thrilled because his crush finally showed interest in him. She tries to convince her not to go out with Duke, but Olivia sticks to her plan to make Viola jealous and suggests inviting Eunice for a double date. That night, they sit in awkward silence until Viola and Eunice arrive. Less than 3 minutes later, she leaves because she can't help feeling jealous when Olivia kisses Duke. The next day, at the Junior League event, a woman addresses a room full of future debutantes, including Olivia and Monique. Viola interrupts the meeting, stumbling awkwardly as she heads to her seat. During dinner, the stark difference between a true lady and Viola becomes evident. She then goes to the bathroom and runs into Olivia, who recognizes her from the kissing booth. She seizes the opportunity to speak poorly about Duke in an effort to convince Olivia to stop seeing him. Olivia opens up and confesses that she actually has feelings for Sebastian, that is, for her. Monique, who is also there, overhears the entire conversation and warns Olivia to stay away from her boyfriend. Olivia points out that's not true because he broke up with her the other day at the restaurant. Suddenly, the argument turns into a fierce fight in the bathroom. The next day at school, Malcolm notices something's wrong with Sebastian and tries to report it to the principal, but he simply doesn't believe him. That night, the real Sebastian shows up, and Olivia, not realizing the mix-up, kisses him, while Duke sees them together from a distance. At the same time, Malcolm discovers the truth after researching and finding out that Viola and Sebastian are twins. Later, Viola goes to her room and finds Duke extremely angry, convinced she has betrayed him. Without giving her a chance to explain, he kicks her out of the room. Needing a place to rest before the game the next day, she accepts Eunice's offer to sleep in her room. Meanwhile, Sebastian arrives in his room unaware of what's happening. The next day, Malcolm and Monique inform the principal about what Viola did. On the other hand, Sebastian is awakened and forced to play in a game he knows nothing about. Viola wakes up late, and to make matters worse, discovers that her brother is on the field in his sports uniform. Minutes into the game, the principal stops the match to announce to everyone that Sebastian is a girl. Sebastian denies it, but no one believes him, leaving him with no choice but to provide undeniable proof. After this, the game continues, and Sebastian is sent to the bench. Viola takes the opportunity to secretly talk to him and explain the whole situation. After learning that he was the one who kissed Olivia and that's why Duke was upset, she asks him to take off the uniform so she can play the game. Viola dresses up as Sebastian again and returns to the game to win it. She plays amazingly, and her team scores a goal, but then, since Duke is still upset with Viola, he decides not to play with her. As a result, the game ends in a tie. Viola tries to make things right, but he refuses to listen. Justin mocks Duke, and they end up fighting again. This sparks a brawl on the field between the two teams. With Olivia and Duke by her side, Viola can no longer keep up the lie and confesses her love to Duke. This leaves everyone confused, so she comes clean and reveals that she is not Sebastian. She explains why she did it while removing the disguise. Duke still doesn't believe her, so she also provides undeniable proof. After this, Viola apologizes and asks him to let her play on the team. He doesn't forgive her but allows her to play. However, the Cornwall coach opposes having a girl on the team. Fortunately, her coach intervenes on her behalf, giving her the chance to play as herself. Thanks to the teamwork and effort she's put into her training, she scores the goal that wins the game for her team. Everyone on the field celebrates except Duke, who still feels disappointed in her. However, after a couple of days, he eventually forgives her. They both attend the debutante ball together as a couple, and with this scene, the movie ends. Don't miss out on future recaps, subscribe, leave a like and comment if you have already seen this movie. Thanks for watching.